Well, Neil, on paper it looks a great point here today, but are you a little disappointed the way the game's gone?
Yeah, very disappointed. You know, I thought first half probably they just edged it in terms of possession, but you know, we've well in the game. We've hit the bar, and keeper's made a good save. But you know, last kick of the game. Disappointing thing for me is, you know, we've bossed the second half. I thought, particularly when we made the substitutions. We've got our goal, which is a fantastic strike. We've had other opportunities, which we should be putting balls in across the face of the goal, and we're not. Disappointing thing for me is we're still making the same mistakes. Individuals are still making the same individual errors that they were making at day one. You know, and there's only so many times you can tell them, and you know, and then I've got to do something about it. You know, we can help them, and it's not on, you know, it's not on purpose. The effort, the commitment, I think the fans can see that. You know, everyone's putting a right shift in and want to do well. But we're still making basic errors. We should be sitting here now on 15 points. That's the frustrating thing. But we're not, and why aren't we? Because we're still making the same basic errors that we were making pre-season.
In a way, is it refreshing that you can be disappointed when you're third in the league and you've not lost a game yet?
I think it's refreshing, but you know, when you've got high standards and we've got a lot of expectation, you know, if they weren't trying, if there was individuals going out there and not doing a great deal, you know, you could scream and shout. But we're talking fine margins here. Fine margin, people switching off at the back post for a cross, people switching off when the ball's coming in. Got to be harder to play against. As I say, we've bossed the game second half in terms of possession, and we haven't created a great deal, but we've had opportunities. But we're still making, you know, some basic errors.
Tell us about your starting formation today. I know you've been keen to get Lamin Colley in the starting 11, but particularly Andy Robinson. He seemed key to your plans today.
Yeah, we're just thought in the games that we've played, we haven't kept the ball very well. I mean, it's become a bit of a game of ping pong at times. You know, we've gone forward too quickly. I think if you see today, you know, Robbo definitely for 50 minutes anyways kept the ball for us, made us play. Didn't have a great deal of a cutting edge. You know, but also with Abs out, Micah coming back from, you know, an injury. You know, we didn't have any great width available to us. You know, so, you know, Micah can play, and obviously Carl can play on the other side, but he wants to try and get on the ball, you know, to bring them into the game. So we just thought with three strikers, we'd have a right go at them. I mean, I've said all along, although we're true today, you know, we're going to go and try and win football matches. We're not going to be playing for draws, or I think you've seen again, we threw the subs on, we threw everything at it. We've just switched off.
Everyone's going to talk about the goal and Glenn Rule, but just a quick word maybe about one of the substitutes who was involved there, Joe Garvin, because he won the corner and then took it himself as well.
I thought the substitutes, you know, done very well again. I think they've done very well midweek. Sefton Gonzalez, I thought was a right handful, worked his socks off. Joe Garvin, you know, he's a good footballer, you know, but these lads are still learning the game, you know. And I just said in there to our players that, you know, it's not anyone who knows me, I'll help anyone, you know, but you can only tell them so many times, you know, and we can help and learn and learn. If I see them taking things on board, fine, you know, they mightn't be where we need them to get in terms of game management. But if they keep making the same mistakes, then I've got to make changes, you know. And but the two boys that came on, particularly, I know Carl's come on late, he's had a good, you know, he's had an effort. I thought they, you know, really made a difference to the game.
It was a great goal that Glenn Rule has scored. It'll probably be a 70-yarder by the time he got off the bus and back in Stockport again. But he's got that in his locker, hasn't he? He's a wonderful striker of the ball. And in fairness, some of his crosses were a bit wayward today. He needed something today to go right for him.
I think it was a cross, to be honest. I think that was the problem. No, he hit one like that pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And he was at Macclesfield, and the lads made a great save.
Cheers, mate.
But no, it's a great strike, and that should win a game of football.
Yeah.
But you know, and at that time, I thought Nuneaton weren't in the game. I thought we were bossing the game. We got hold of them in midfield. Lewis Montrose was starting to get in, you know, and boss in front of the back two. We've got to be stronger.
The equaliser, when it came 10 minutes before time, didn't really give you long enough to get back in front again. But what a sickener! I mean, it's a horrible goal, and I saw you indicate just keep the ball. We conceded a throw in needlessly.
I see them throwing needlessly, and the lad's gone down the right hand side, and you know, to keep talking to defenders about opening up so they can see, you know. And Danny's got 2 men at the back post, hasn't told anyone, and Alan Harewood, you know, it's probably one of the easiest goals he'd probably scored in his career.
Yeah, I mean for his 150th, you won't get a simpler one. Is it an issue about giving the ball away, or is it an issue about the marking when you've then had that turnover of possession?
I think it's more about the marking once the ball goes wide. It's how you pick up. You can't pick up going back towards your goal, because if the ball's played behind you, you ain't going to be able to twist your body unless you're an acrobat. To head the ball away, you've got to open your body up, be able to see. You've got to pull people in next to you. But if we don't talk, they've had 2 lads at the back post, so we must have 2 lads centrally not marking. Call it a good bit of movement. I call it poor communication.
Well, you've come here, you've ended a 100% record for Nuneaton, you're still 3rd in the league table, you're still unbeaten, you've got a home game to come, everything's still moving in a really positive direction though for you. Those fans, certainly the way they cheered you off today tells you a lot. Yeah, we're still very positive. We're gutted that we shouldn't, that we haven't won today and we haven't won on Tuesday, which says a lot, because they're not 2 games that we shouldn't have won. The 2 games that we should have won. And that's why we're disappointed, because we should be sitting here on 15 points. And as I said before, it's not through lack of effort, commitment. It's through basic errors. You've seen one on Tuesday where we should have cleared the ball. You've seen one. Cameraman scared of a wasp. So am I. And you've seen one today where we've been done at the back stick. When probably Nuneaton were having their least possession they've had in the whole game. But we've got to learn, and I'm sure we will. A couple of players have left the club this week, albeit on loan. Kevin Holsgrove and Scott Duxbury. Just tell us a little bit about the thinking behind both of those moves.
Yeah, well, obviously, obviously Scott's been on the list since I arrived at the club. Right?
Yeah, good shot.
Since I arrived at the club, and Northwich have come in. I'm paying part of his wages, but he needs to be playing football matches. If we've got any chance of Scott, he needs to be playing games. Kevin Holsgrove, Kevin came in. What people must remember is when we put the squad together, we had 8 or 9 weeks to put it together, and Kevin came in. I know him. He's a good lad. You can trust him. You know what I mean. And he came in at the start of the process. But obviously since then we brought Kay in, Sefton. Obviously Lamman was there already then. So things have moved on, and that happens in football. So Kev needs to be playing football. He wants to be playing football, which is the key. There's some players that that don't always want to play football. He wants to get out and play football. And Colwyn Bay's a good club for him.
Does that free up resource for you to bring anybody in as a replacement? Do you see the need to bring anybody else in at this stage?
I think we do need to bring 2 or 3 players in, but at the moment, as I've said, all along, we've got a budget that we're working to. Yeah, there's probably 1 or 2. We might have one in early next week on loan. But I've got to be wary of the numbers as well. Because as we know, when I came in, there were 7 players already here on contract. So for me to bring the players in that we have, and I think people think they're getting a lot more than what they are. I would think we're probably in around the same numbers as last year. So we're working hard behind the scenes to get the best possible players in. But we're not just going to keep bringing players in. We've got to work with the lads. We've got the good players, but we've got to take information on board. But as I say, we've come away to Nuneaton, got a point in an ordinary world. Last time I was here with Chester, we got beat 1-0. So for me, it's a point better. It's just sickening again that we're talking about the fine margins in football. But when you've got young players as part of your squad still learning the game, things like that will happen. But the good thing is, as you said before, fantastic support again from the supporters. And I hope they go away a little bit, dismayed like I am of the way we conceded the goal. But with the effort and the commitment to the players, then they're more than happy.
And can you indicate what positions you're thinking about filling, maybe if you do get somebody in next week?
Yeah, but obviously we're looking at the 3 positions that we're looking to fill. Well, probably 2 mainly at the moment. Is another right back come centre, a right back that can play centre back, or a centre back that can play right back with experience. We've identified one. I've got to speak to the powers that be to see if we can do it. I've also spoke to the player. So that one's not. And we are bringing a lad in who can play either side, in the hole or up front. Just gives us that flexibility to play 46 times in the league. He's still a young lad, so he fits what we're trying to do here in terms of the structure and the strategy that we're trying to impose. So hopefully, barring anything happening at his club today, that will be done Monday, Tuesday in time for a midweek. Sorry, 2 tough weekend fixtures next weekend.
And just finally, Absbag, you've seen him running around the pitch here today. Is he going to be ready for next week for Stalybridge?
He better be. No, I think he will be there. If it may be Monday. I've always been a great believer that at this level of football you can't expect a lot of the lads to play Saturday, Tuesday full games. So we've got to manage the players as well in them both games. And you're usually seeing different results over them 2 games. I think it should be. I don't really know the reason why we play 7 games in August, and I think it's 4 in September. When players are still trying to gain fitness, but I understand there's a bank holiday game, but maybe play the other games on Friday night just to give particularly part-time players the opportunity to recover. And at the end of the day, the fans want the best possible match on the pitch, so if both teams are fresh as possible, then surely they're going to see a better game.
That's a good point today. Have a good week. Well,
thank you. Cheers.